All right, it's time. We need some coffee.
Go on, little buddy. Get on over there.
Woo! Boop. Beep. Boop. Boop. Just a little bit. Oh, come on, come on. Oh.
Oh, mama.
Now that we've had our coffee, it's time for the stream to begin. Good morning, Iron A. Grab your pens, grab your brushes. Let's get creative. Woo!
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Drew Pearson. We bring you this special radio television broadcast in order to give you the very latest information on the...
Hey guys, how's it going? Yo!
How we doing, everybody?
Hey brother, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm gonna be muting on and off if the kid keeps making happy noises.
Are we still pretending it's the child and not your wife?
Yeah, she's back there going yum 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 yum.
I know how mothers talk to their kids. She's definitely doing that when she's here. Birdie and Books. Hey Alicia, thanks for coming, man. Anthony Rodonelli, thank you for joining us. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. Been just chilling.
Busy day?
Yeah, working on and off, relaxing. I was just getting a little gaming in before the stream.
Yeah, you said Roller Coaster Tycoon, isn't that right?
Yeah, dude, classic, right?
Bro, I haven't played those games in forever, man. Like for me, it was if I was going to play one of those, I'd always play like the Zoo Tycoon with all the extra stuff, with all the extras. That way, I could recreate my Jurassic Park fantasy in video game form.
Dude, that's always the funnest thing about the Zoo Tycoon. The Zoo Tycoon games are pretty good too. Now, these are some games that are pretty shameless corporate plugging. You know, you can build
for sure.
You can build the Reese's peanut butter cup merry-go-round and stuff like that, and it's
great, man.
You know, it's totally bought and paid for by roller coaster tycoons and zoo tycoons and stuff. You know, but the funny thing is they're pretty open about how ruthless they are with business tactics, because that's how you get good at the game. You know what I mean? Charging to use the bathroom and hiding certain things so that they have to walk through the park to go find it.
Oh, it's very it reminds me of like when I was a kid and I learned that grocery stores were designed to make you like buy all the crappy food that's bad for you for a lot more money.
yes, and like casinos with no windows or clocks and stuff like that. Like
no indication as to how much time you've spent there.
I don't know why, but I have a really fun time playing those games that are like management games, whether it's like real-time strategy, like, you know, Warcraft or StarCraft or, you know, what have you. Even like the Warhammer RTS game is pretty good, but like even a step further than that with like RimWorld Roller Coaster Tycoon, where you're literally not even playing the game, you're kind of just managing. You know, and
see, like the whole managing, not really my thing. Like I see why people like it, but it just I don't have that brain, man.
I gotcha. Yeah. It's like building something. I don't know.
Well, like I get that. I enjoy Minecraft for what it is. It's fun to like mine and manage and build something. And
same idea. Yeah.
No, it's a great time. So, man, today I figured, you know, we've gone on your channel a couple times just to kind of shoot the S, so to say, and talk about lore and stories and things of that nature. I figured, why not do that again? I kind of want to have some more just kind of fun streams, just like, you know, chill streams, kind of like this.
Right.
And plus, with the next episode of Spirit Animals being worked on right now by you, sir, as well as it's just going to be great. But I also had some more Hawaiian stuff to drop on you.
I was curious about that
as well. Yeah,
you were saying like you had some ideas and stuff, and like some more stuff to talk about, and I have been just nerding out about that, dude.
Oh, dude, it's fantastic, man. You and I, we'll be talking about it, and like we'll forget. Like, oh, I'm like, I didn't write anything down. I should have written shit
down. I know. That's why I kept coming back to you, and I was like, oh, hey, here's some more screenshots. I couldn't remember what we talked about, and I realized like after the fact and later I had to start like writing stuff down because my brain just forgets things. Yeah,
for sure, man. And so one thing is that I've been working on a little bit. It's not quite ready yet. Is I'm working on my own Hawaiian version of a ha'a, or more commonly referred to as a haka.
Oh yeah.
And the funny thing about that is the same dance for the same purposes exist in virtually all Polynesian cultures, but it's called different things in virtually all of them.
So, but they all have a war dance.
Yeah, but it's kind of a multi-purpose dance, more so. Like, people associate it with war dance, and that is definitely what it is, but there's also an element of it being a prayer. There's also an element of it being, a presentation or a declaration of intent, things of that nature.
Right. A display of many things. I really love war dances, just for lack of a better term, just to group it all together. War prayer.
Oh yeah, and for sake of argument, it is that as well. And it kind of harkens back to the ancient days when people would come in, and a lot of a battle wasn't actually the front lines and the front skirmishes and fighting. A lot of if you study ancient warfare and what we do know, a lot of it was tossing projectiles or arrows when those came around across enemy lines to one another and trying to intimidate, make the enemy believe that they could not possibly win. And then one side would try to retreat, and if the side that was being the aggressor was successful, it would turn into a rout. And that's how a lot of kind of those ancient battles went.
100%. And that's a lot of like, a lot of people like to talk about Rome with like their technology and the superior strategy. Yes. They're like superior strategy, great leadership, technology. All these things are true. These things are true. But one thing is the discipline, sir. The greatest discipline out of any army in the world. Tremendous lines ahead. Yeah, you can't get that. You can't get that kind of leadership without the discipline. And the discipline in itself is a type of war dance. It was the Roman war dance. It was, let's all stand here. And it's the same with the British, right? How intimidating.
Creating lines of warfare. And
yes.
It was different even than what the Greeks had done about that. It's kind of weird because when you study history, like especially ancient history, you see a lot of these basically there will be an established way of typical fighting with skirmishing and other stuff thrown in there as well. But it's almost like a game where both sides decide this is the best way to fight that we've figured out so far. So we're both going to see who can fight that fight the best. Until someone else figures out a better formation, a better way, and then that comes in, and then at some point, when their enemies lose to that, they will change their tactics over to that as well. So it's almost like this evolving dance throughout the years and throughout the eras and throughout the decades, eventually leading to kind of the typical like British rifleman kind of blocks, so to say, that we came to know in the earlier part of the settlement, like 1700s, 1600s. Hey, Redoubt Productions is here. The Battle of Kenai is amazing. It is. I've never read about a battle more spectacularly unbelievable as that one. It is.
Fill those in who don't know. Let's go over it real quick.
The Battle of Kenai. It's been a while since I read about it, but it was during one of the Punic Wars between the nation of Rome and the nation of Carthage. And it was during the 13 years that Hannibal came over the mountains from Spain into Roman countryside. He fought a war with Rome for 13 years in their own in Rome's own country without any backup for 13 years without defeat. 13 years.
Oh yeah.
And the Battle of Cannae is included in one of those battles. I don't remember the exact numbers, but in the Battle of Cannae, they were surrounded by the freshly raised Roman legions.
Yep.
And they were outnumbered something like 6-1 or some insane number that doesn't even really make sense in terms of ancient warfare. But yeah, no, it was a beautiful battle, man. It's a to this day, military schools will still study it and teach their students about it.
And they practically annihilated the other army. So this is probably an instance where the Roman intimidation method of discipline, like watch us stand all in just as one unit, you know, and of course, like Spartans and other people came before.
That's true. But real quick, just because nobody ever knows what this is.
Yeah.
Yes, this is Birdie in the books. This is Lore Olympus. This was a it was a web. What do you call it? Not a web novel, but a web comic. Yeah, web comic that became so popular that a publisher picked her up and turned it into like 4 or 5 volumes of comic book about this thick. An impressive amount of story. It was the number one e-comic on the platform, webcomic on the platform for like what, 2 or 3 years? Something insane like that. Made insane amounts of money. But yeah, anyway, nobody knows what that is. So tossing that out. Hold up. Also, Stormcrow is gonna bite my head off real quick.
Oh no.
Hey guys, Christian, I love you, buddy. AC, sending my love to you and the missus. I'm not ignoring y'all. I'm just busy as HELL. Yeah, no, I feel you, man. We're all working. We're all doing stuff. And no, Stormcrow and I talk every now and again on the phone. I love the guy. He's insane, but it's great.
Unforgivable.
Unforgivable? Unforgettable?
Unforgivable. Unforgivable, Stormcrow. We all love you.
Absolutely. And so where were you going? You were talking about Rome or some sort of old battle.
Oh, I was just looking up the Battle of Cannae as you were telling me.
Yeah. Look it up. What?
Oh, I looked. Yeah, dude. Like Hannibal defeating Rome, with that outnumbered. That is a military. It should not have happened. Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like the leadership and all that is one thing, but this must have been one of the instances where Hannibal. I mean, one of the greatest rivals of Rome, right? So he in himself understands all that shit that was going on with them, and so he could think like them. And it's just one instance where you get that uniformity and discipline, and it didn't intimidate the opponent. He was still able to think clearly. It was all I was getting at, because they used that as a form of their own haka. That was the whole reason we got on this. Is like that's the Roman haka is such discipline, like have you heard? Okay, actually,
the marching in formation in time, which is the only way to really march with that amount of people, is to do it in time. It creates the rhythm, and that in itself, that intimidating fact of 10,000s of feet stomping at the same time across the dirt.
We're coming for you. You better run.
But my lord, there is no such force.
Have you heard? I can't remember whose army it was, but there's an Asian army in history. I don't remember.
No way.
Yeah. There was an Asian army, sir. No. There's one. I don't remember who the general was, but I think there was some sort of secession crisis going on in China, and one of the kings who had like a bunch of loyalty from everybody, he marched his army up to the castle, and the current king that everybody viewed as like divine, you know what I mean? He opened the gate.
Is a god.
Right. He just opened the gate, and he sent out one legion of dudes. They lined up in front of the wall, and they're facing this huge army, right? And one by the king goes out onto the wall, and then like one by one, he's I don't know, he's like communicating back and forth with the enemy general, but like one by one, he orders this legion to just kill themselves slowly, and like they stab themselves in the gut, like Japanese style and stuff. Like
very, very. I was
slowly,
gonna say very Japanese.
very, very slow deaths, and like it just demonstrated the sheer discipline that army had. He's like, hey, you want to mess with this? Look what my men will do for me. You go now, you kill yourself. Now you do it. Now you delete. And then
that's
like
so messed up. If only it would be a shame if the Japanese would go to China and force them to do the same thing. But as
it's almost
the war,
it was almost like the opposite, yeah. And it kind of makes you understand the seppuku a little bit more in Japan. Like Japan, it's almost a step further where it's like self-censorship. Like you don't even need to order me to do it. I'm just gonna do it out of shame. Yeah.
Well, it kind of depends because there's more than one kind. There's one where it's an obligation. It's something that basically, like, in lieu of us executing you, you will offer this, even though it's not something you want. The other side is there's the version of it where it's because of your own shame, or you can't, or I can't live with this, or some sort of family disgrace. Anything really, but yeah,
right.
Also, Daniel comes in. Woo! He was just over on John A. Douglas's channel having a tremendous interview. I would have kept watching, but I had to go start my own stream. So,
oh yeah, I had no doubt that was going to be a good interview, and they did not disappoint. Yeah, good stuff. So
tremendous.
What was the stuff you were going to tell me about, or more on the Haka, or?
The Haka, which we talk about. There's two different island Polynesian cultures that use something they call a Haka, and that is the Maori from New Zealand. That they're the most famous for it, and they have maybe the most, like, truth be told, of all Polynesian cultures, the Maori are the most metal of all of them. Not necessarily the best, or like that. And that's all relative as well. But they're the most aggressive, the most.
Yeah.
They're unique even amongst Polynesian cultures, which is it's amazing that there's still cultural overlap when they lived so far away. Like, look at Hawaii, look at New Zealand. They're a long ways away from each other.
Yeah, I was gonna say, since they all have like this similar type of Haka. Do you think that had to have originated before the great spread of Polynesian culture when they were at their height? Don't you think? Like that would have to be something that predates all of them, then carried on.
In some ways, yeah. Even after they were all settled in their individual islands or pockets of islands, more truthfully, they would have wars with one another. There were times when Samoa tried to conquer Hawaii at some point. And all the old stories refer to them as giants, which also, guys, if you ever see a Hawaiian football player or basketball player in professional sports, they're usually either Tongan or Samoan. Maybe a little Hawaiian mixed in, but that's where that huge size comes from.
That's why I just play it safe, Kahuna, and I always say Polynesian. Because then you're not mixing anything up unless you're royally mixing something up. Like if you mix something up saying Polynesian when you're trying to refer to like all that, then it's like you're thinking of the wrong thing, bro, at that point.
Yeah.
But it can be forgiven to mix up, like, I don't know, like Samoan, Hawaiian, and
Samoan, Tongan. It's like Chinese, Japanese, Korean. Like like you can get pretty adept at spotting the differences. Especially like a lot of it has to do with the way they talk too. And like with Hawaiians, Tongan, Samoans, I can usually tell. There's no nice way. Samoans have really large, oddly shaped heads, as a rule. It's not universal. It's not across the board, but
there's exceptions. Yeah.
But yeah, no. So it's interesting looking at that, and yeah. So in Hawaii, it's not actually the Haka as it is not actually called the Haka. It's the Ha'a, is what they call it. And the modern versions of the Hawaiian Ha'a are a little less aggressive than the Haka that you see the New Zealanders kind of perform at sporting events and things of that nature. It's a little more flowy, a little bit less aggressive enunciation. So it is interesting. Because most people don't actually speak Hawaiian. And even I like I can figure out pronunciation, things of that nature, but I don't know Hawaiian, truth be told. So I'm working on writing for Spirit Animals by A.C. Pritchard. I'm writing a ha'a or a haka for for this character to perform at some point in the story, and it's going to be one of the cooler moments of the story.
I think
far as
so
we can
too.
tell.
Yeah. It's gonna be really sweet, man. That's gonna be how he's introduced. Like, dude, it's gonna. Like I said to
it's
you,
gonna slap, dude.
I want it to be nightmare fuel. I want it to be nightmare fuel for the characters that witness this guy, because he's a legend. That's the thing about this character, Miyotu Ho'okea. If I'm pronouncing that.
Yeah, you got it.
Ho'okea.
Yeah, there you go.
He's a legend in the world of spirit animals. He's become quite this thing. Like he has this enormous turtle spirit bond, and like in my world, when you have a spirit bond that is so overgrown like that, it implies that they're very ancient, because the animal never stops growing, really. You can get a little oversized, but to have something that's like a turtle, as big as a turtle gets, big enough to eat a ship, that is huge. You know what I mean?
In your world, this would be an ancient animal, not just an old animal.
It's different than other spirit animals. Yeah. He's a legend for a reason. So,
and then he finally finds someone worthy of that bond, so to say, which is the spirit bond is a very cool aspect of your story. It's one of the cooler lore related things in spirit animals, in my opinion. Actually,
that's where I started with it. I was like,
I was going to say that was probably the story seed, or one of the main ones. Yeah.
Well, I always had this urge to, because like I played tabletop and stuff, D&D, what have you, and I always had this urge, because I couldn't help but see how compatible it is, like Pokemon tabletop, which I'm sure exists, but I for some reason always saw it. I always saw it in a particular way. Like I always saw, like, if I was a DM of this, if I was like running a weekly game, I would have it very true to the Pokemon manga. There's a specific, I think it's Pokemon Adventures is what it's called, that particular manga. It's one of the original ones. In that, it's quite different, and the original creator of Pokemon says it's the most accurate version. So this is actually what he kind of intended. Okay, it was done by a hentai artist, because they tend to have
the
superior
best expressions.
Yes, superior facial expressions and details and stuff like that. And when you think about it, Pokemon, weird animal creature things, like, okay, yeah, it makes sense.
They have experience drawing those things.
So the art is great, right? The art's fantastic, Kahuna. And the differences are, instead of just like, oh, two trainers line up, you throw out your Pokemon, the Pokemon themselves spar, and you shake hands. Oh, I lost, here's some money, have a good day. It's more like everybody packs a Pokemon because you need something to defend yourself. It's like your conceal and carry. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I have a pocket Pikachu myself.
I have a I got a little Pikachu just in case. You never know when you need to zap something. You never know.
Absolutely.
So one of the things, and you do see this on the show a lot more in the other more popular material, but like, the Pokemon are used as tools more, in that, like, you'll see Magnemites that are like incorporated into something, or like a Ditto, can like transform into a key or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're almost incorporated into the
more
world,
utilitarian.
A little bit.
Ways. Yeah.
There's more reasons for it, and I guess I could see why they would take some of that aspect and dial it back for like a kid's, like a true blue kids show or whatever, because I feel like the original manga was more just like, hey, anybody read this at any age. It's all ages instead of like kids, But anyway, so that's like one of the first differences. When trainers battle, like I said, it's like a conceal and carry. So like, you're going after the other trainer, you're not going after their Pokemon. And what ends up happening is
the Pokemon are the chess pieces in a duel.
yes,
Yeah,
and the
strategy and power and all that jazz.
Yeah, and the trainer's the king. So, like, I don't know how familiar you are with the original lore. There's the gym leaders and then the Elite Four, right?
Yep.
So
I played them in the. I think in the 90s. I would have been 6. So yeah, in the 90s. Yeah, I played them way back when.
So Team Rocket is still like the evil corporation, right? It's still Skynet,
and also a gym leader.
That makes sense. Think about the real world. Think about the mafia.
It's just the
That's what it is.
Mafia or the mob.
So every gym leader, the entire gym organization, most of the gym leaders are actually part of Team Rocket. What it is what it is. And
in the original lore?
Yeah, and they're also like trying to kill Ash. They're all trying to kill Red.
Jeez.
Yeah, because he's like aware of the terrorist organization and like fucking shit up, you know what I mean? So
wait, you're telling me that there's a shadow government? No way.
Essentially,
would never happen.
And the Elite Four are not just the world's strongest trainers. They're the world's strongest trainers for a reason, in that they're actually terrorists trying to take over the world. What they're doing,
I have heard about that.
Yeah. And when I say you go after the trainer, it's this example is shown many times up until this point. But just to give you an example, in those final battles, when Red finally reaches the Elite Four, like the first lady Lorelei or whatever, the famous first ice Elite Four lady, she uses ice. She uses ice. The Elite Four cheats. That's why they're the strongest. They essentially cheat. So the ice lady freezes like her opponent's hands, and they can't even throw a Pokeball, and then she just fucks them up. The second guy,
right.
Yeah, the second guy fights on the back of an Onyx that is so overgrown it's the size of an entire battlefield, and he trains on that thing, so he's used to it. So what he does is he'll lure you onto his Onyx. All of a sudden, the whole thing turns into a battlefield, and then he uses Hitmonlee because he has springy legs. So what ends up happening is the opponent's off balance. He throws Hitmonlee out, and mid-air, Hitmonlee stretches his springy legs out and punches the other fucking trainer in the face, kicks the other trainer in the face before the battle even starts. So like this is what they do, and that, you know what I mean? And it literally
that's the biggest Onyx I've ever seen.
So right, look at that rock hard Onyx. So
large and in charge Onyx. He's not afraid of anything.
So my original idea is I wanted to be like a DM for a game that is no Pokeballs. Everybody has like one Pokemon that you actually bond with the old-fashioned way, like they show fucking Ash doing in the show constantly.
You gotta rephrase that just a little bit.
Phrasing. Excuse me, sir. Phrasing. I'm sorry. I meant. I
live in Washington. It's I have to specify that for some people.
It's pretty free out there, from what I hear. It's freaking huge amount of freedom, Daniel P. Riley.
Tremendous freedom.
Tremendous
freaking
freedom.
Huge.
The furries love it. So I forgot what I was even saying, dude. So everybody,
the OG Pokemon,
yeah. Everybody would like, it would be more towards like that style, the manga, where you're targeting the other trainer. Everybody bonds the old-fashioned way. Pokeballs are dumb. Like, bond with animals normally.
If you could use a Pokeball on a Pokemon, why couldn't you use it on a person? At least Pal World addressed that. But
it creates a lot of weird.
Wait, you can alter the size dimension. Is each Pokeball a portal? Is it a pocket dimension?
It makes the most sense with D&D rules when you just say it's a pocket dimension. That's when it makes the most sense. But the implications are that you're literally destroying this Pokemon, breaking down its data, and then just basically creating a data copy of it every time you summon it. And the Pokeball is like a little data storage device. That's what it actually is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, that's what it implies too.
Animated Moon. Howdy, brother.
How's it going, Animated Moon? So yeah, like that. That was
big, tremendous artist. Check him out.
Yeah, great at animating too. Like, dude,
no, the guy's legit. And every now and again, I'll be talking to me like, oh yeah, man, I don't know if I'm feeling it on this. I'm looking at him like, it looks better than anything I could ever do, ever.
Right. That's how I feel with some of these artists too, man. So it's just like I get the whole the whole mindset of just learn, just like start drawing something, you know what I mean? I get that. That's cool. I respect it. But I am well into my life, and I'm still on that grind, So it's like if you divert from a path that you've already got all this momentum on to start a fresh path, it kind of like takes the piss out of everything, you know what I mean?
It can. Some people, depending on the kind of person you are. If you're able to just dabble and like dedicate a small amount of time on the regular to something, that's like I've known people who have spent like 15 minutes doing something every day, and eventually they're able to get somewhere. But that's not really me. I need hours to really make anything stick.
Well, dude, and that 15 minutes for me is like, oh, okay. I mean, I know I was just talking about Roller Coaster Tycoon before the stream, but I was just kind of like waiting to stream and like taking the opportunity of the fresh air I had for a second. But like, yeah, that 15 minutes kind of turns into like, well, let me pull this up and like just kind of mess around with this Photoshop and see what kind of cover I can make. Let me see what I can do with this thumbnail. Let me write this thing. Let me outline that thing. Let me look at this story seed. Let me write this script. Like it turns into a whole bunch of different stuff that I really should be working on instead of like
the other thing. Yeah. And Daniel brings up a good point. The clock always restarts when you. I'm gonna say this as Daniel.
Do it.
Wait.
The clock always restarts when you change paths. It's about the time, not the objectives.
That was a really good Daniel voice, by the way.
That's exactly how he sounds, guys. Don't question it.
It is.
But not to take away from his point. It is true. The clock always restarts when you change. And that's like, honestly, I think it's because our pride as we get older. But starting off something at 0 is embarrassing in some ways. Because you're going to be really bad. Like, not just bad, you're going to be like disgustingly, embarrassingly bad.
And we've all, just to really oversimplify it, we've all played those games where you get really good at the one class or the one character, and then you go start the new one and you just suck, and you're like, no, I'm just gonna stick to the person I'm good at, even though there's nothing left to unlock, just because like it just feels better to win sometimes, like
all I do is win, no matter.
You can't unlock that skin if you're starting on new characters all the time, Kahuna.
Oh well, yeah, like even a newer game like Helldivers. I am a bug slayer. I kill bugs for a living. Those Terminids, or not Tyranids from 40K, and also not the bugs from Starship Troopers. Definitely not those. Yeah. I'm very good at killing those, but the bots, the automations, bro, it's a completely different game when you're fighting them. It's not even close. The entire playstyle has to be completely different. Because they shoot, like, with the bugs, it's about them trying to get to you. They can basically, most of them can only attack you from right in front of you. And so it's just about moving around and keeping distance. With the bots, they have guns. They're shooting, they're popping, they're sending pew-pews back. Sometimes better weaponry than you. It's not fair.
It's a little different, yeah. They can outthink you. They're robots. Think about it. The reaction time. Like, there's a lot of things you can throw in there.
And let's see. Hey, I am the best. Zero writer of Shalar. Maji. Love it.
Yeah,
Shalar will live forever.
Funnily enough, art is the thing I do a lot of different things in. Games are the thing I stick to one play style. Okay, well, yeah, you're an artist, man. That makes sense. You dabble, you've experimented, you've even like he's actually done paint release style stuff as well. That's excellent if he ever wants to try doing something like that again. But yeah.
Right. Yeah, he I mean that makes sense, like, because like games, it can be therapeutic to just hop on the style of game that you like, decompress, win, and then get back to work. Some people use games as like an exploratory thing where like they always want to play a new game and a new type of game because that's kind of the excitement. Like, oh, what's this game going to be like? You know what I mean? That's kind of the fun of indie, and like why Richard from Iron Age Media's stream is is actually
He plays a
pretty awesome.
wide variety of games, which
Indie
means
games.
that sometimes he plays boring games, but you know,
But
but
even when
it's
he's
always different. It's always different.
yeah, dude, even the boring games, it's fun watching that because it's like it's different every time. You know what I mean? That's kind of the appeal. Like, what indie game is he diving into this time? You know?
I love that no matter what game it is, because he's so stoic, his excitement level's always right about here. Hey guys, so getting killed by bugs. It's fine. It's this happens.
We're playing.
Playing a horror game. Oh
playing
yeah,
this-
there he is. Yeah, I died. Yeah.
Yeah, we're playing this RPG that's clearly viral and super lit. Look at this awesome game. Yeah, this looks super fun. You want to buy it? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, I'm gonna go to bed now.
I'm really glad I bought this. I'm not very good at it yet.
Yeah.
I love it.
I only got like 70 hours logged into it before stream, so I'm not very good. But
Pretty much, yeah. Holy smokes, dude.
it's great. It's great.
But yeah, no, we are talking about different aspects of Hawaiian culture, and because the next portion of Spirit Animals is going to be in a subtropical kind of area. It's going to involve characters that are influenced in culture and style and names and all of that by Polynesian stuff. And AC and I have talked about a lot of that kind of behind off stream and just chatting, and even on his stream a couple of times. But yeah, no, there's a few other things that I thought would be kind of fun, and part of it is that since the character that you and I kind of talked about and designed is going to be represents charity in a way.
Yes,
I figured he should give some sort of gift to Zan before Zan moves on to the next stage of his journey. There could be a lot of different things, but I wanted to hear if you had any ideas, or if that's even a good idea in your opinion.
Well, that's a fantastic idea, and it's actually something I kind of wanted each of the main characters that he comes across that all symbolize kind of different things to like leave him with something. Even if that's not a physical thing, just something to dwell on. And I actually, talking about that with you, I actually realized I forgot that in the last episode, so I may need to add like one line in Royce's character's episode. Luckily, it's nothing he needs to do his lines for, but yeah, I just need to mention that he leaves something with him. But I wanted to have everybody give Zan some sort of talisman, because that's always something a cool detail to mention, to bring up, a cool reminder for him to find and just think about one time, in the future. Plus, it's awesome to just watch a character grow and like acquire different things over.
Yeah, because like they'll like especially a younger character who's already in the process of change in normal circumstances, also traveling around the world and seeing all these different peoples and cultures. Actually, Brian McCoppin's book was very good about that, actually, because a good portion of the book is about him traveling around the world with his father. And they gather different skill sets and different experiences with people along the way, as well as some objects as well. And so I thought that was a very good aspect of that book. One of the better things about it, actually. And so I did have an idea of what it will sound very typical until I explain why. But I thought it would be cool for him to give Zan a fish hook.
I like that, because Zan has been struggling with the idea of killing lately.
Because of spirit animals and how there's a bond, and animals are special in that way, or is it something else?
Well, he was largely just isolated in his forest growing up with Vara, his wolf. And you can kind of read between the lines and assume that the wolf did a lot of the killing for them. And maybe he had to do some dirty work and like learn the basics. Like, yeah, I'm not saying he's inexperienced. Of course, if he caught a fish, he could eat it properly. You know what I mean? A squirrel, whatever, what have you. He grew up in the woods. He's very much a part of it, just as much as his wolf is. But you can kind of assume that the wolf is the one who did the taking care of him and was the hunter and the killer.
Maybe shielded him from a lot of that as well.
Right. So in episode 1, the day finally comes where he encounters some other individuals face to face for the first time, and it forces him to leave his home, and he comes across a fresh battlefield. Well, a not so fresh battlefield. So he has
even
to
worse.
So this kid has to walk through like a fresh battlefield, and like, yeah, he can kind of tell from like some of the skeletons, oh, that's an orc. I just learned today what an orc is, and I can tell that skeleton right there is an orc. Oh, that one right over there is a reptilian. Cool. Oh, there's a dead horse. Cool. You know what I mean? And so he has to. He got a heavy dose of it, and it's kind of like him leaving the natural world.
A little traumatic.
Yeah.
Just because it changed the way he perceives things. It was not something he would have ever imagined maybe seeing.
Exactly. And yeah. He's used to the natural world. He leaves it, travels into the world of civilization, gets inside of a military encampment where they have a little practice fighting ring going on. Everybody's betting. So he learns what gambling is, kind of. And, kids are very highly influenced, so he
kind of like Pinocchio a little bit.
Is that a thing? I haven't watched Pinocchio in years, but
Pinocchio.
Does that happen?
Yeah. No, he goes to this island. It's where these kids are able to explore and overindulge on every vice known to man. It doesn't go super explicit in the Disney movie, but in the older version, it gets a little dark.
Okay. So yeah, maybe a little bit of that. Maybe they kind of were on the same wavelength that I was, where it's like you traveling into this. Well, it's the classic kind of like hero's journey in a way, going into this other world.
Yeah. And Pinocchio, actually, there's even if it's not conscious on your part, there's definitely a strain of kind of Pinocchio story going through with Zan little bit. It's something I just kind of thought about, but yeah, for sure.
I should check out Pinocchio again, like both the source material and the old Disney movie too. That would be cool.
Source material's effed, bro, but it's something. It's something.
I should check that out then for sure. For sure. Start there, maybe end there too. Just like check that out.
Basically, the guy who was writing it and like doing illustration, he got tired of doing it. But they're like, "Oh, we hired you. You're under contract.
God.
You have to do it." So he started killing off Pinocchio in creative and effed up ways.
Right.
Yeah.
So there is no like deep story. He just hates Pinocchio and just started killing him and punishing him. That's right. I remember that. And it's effed up because Pinocchio's like a little kid.
Yeah.
It was like a newspaper comic, wasn't it? Here's the latest effed up Pinocchio thing.
Yeah, it was. I don't even remember when it was. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Also, Animated Moon says, reminds me of the Hellboy comic where young Hellboy reads the original Pinocchio and is completely... Yeah, the OG Pinocchio is not like the Disney version.
Yeah.
That being said, even the Disney version has some really interesting wisdom to impart about exploration, telling the truth, and what makes you human and things of that nature too. It's quite simple.
For real. Back when they cared about that shit, dude. Back when they cared about that. Like they still can hit a home run every now and then, but even when they do now, everybody's so hesitant that I think it just takes the momentum out of it and the potential out of it. You know what I mean? Because
yeah,
there is a couple like really phenomenal things from Disney, but recently, even in the midst of all the controversy, and no thanks, nobody cares.
Yeah,
sorry, not sorry.
And it's like even some that weren't misses, weren't hits the way they should have been either. Like Moana, I don't think it was that far off from being a very, very good movie. It was just
was good.
I think it was a good movie, but
that's The Rock, right?
Yeah. You're welcome for the wonderful world you know.
Dude, I love that movie. I had to show it to Katie.
It's funny because it's more Samoan. Going back to that culture thing, it's more Samoan than Hawaiian, actually. But
yeah, so actually, this is interesting.
Yeah.
The Rock's character in that movie has one hook, right? One big hook.
Fish hook, Maui, the demigod.
Okay, yes.
He appears over every version of Polynesian culture that I've encountered. That demigod figure, he might change. His name might even change, but Maui, that's his name. First time I heard about Maui, I was told by my either my dad or my grandmother, and I was talking to them, and I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, hey, it's Mount Haleakala. Are we going to go there tomorrow? My dad, it was my dad. That's right. I just remembered. Brain blast, figuring it out. And I'm like, why? He's like, and don't call it Mount Haleakala. It's just Haleakala. I'm like, well, what does that mean? He's like, well, it means house of the sun. I'm like, beautiful. Okay, why is that? He's like, well, 2 reasons. One, it goes from literal sea level to over 10,000 foot elevation in a very short period of time. One of the steepest roads in all of the U.S. And the other reason is the legend, the mythology surrounding it. Maui, back in the day, his grandmother, she didn't have enough time to grow her crops, and so her grandson Maui, he used his fish hook and a rope, and he lassoed and hooked the sun, and he tethered it to a stake he put in the ground. And so the sun stays in the sky longer over Hawaii, and his grandma and their people could grow their crops for longer because of that. And they even reference that a little bit in the movie too. But
he talks about it. He has tattoos that show that he has a tattoo of the sun, and anytime his tattoos move around and shit. If you ever like see the sun on him for a glance, it's all of his legends, tattooed on him, which is a great idea. Is that like part of the lore? I'm assuming.
Tattoos? No. I thought that was I thought that was a very cool idea, storytelling wise and visually, to convey meaning without words. I thought that was a very clever idea. But let's see.
Yeah. And part of his character too. It was cool.
Boss freaking title for a mountain. Yes, animated moon. Yes. And I know every year people go up there and then they hike down into the crater and they see the drawings and the carvings on the rocks from the ancient Hawaiians, including the symbol for Kahuna, which was fun to learn about. And every single year, professional athletes and or just very athletic people overestimate their own ability and underestimate how strenuous of a journey it is to go down into the crater from the top. So some of the best athletes I know have gone down there and then almost like just pretty much run out of water and almost gotten stuck down there on the way back up, because you look down into the crater like, wow, look at that, that's kind of cool. And then you're like, oh yeah, that's like 3,000 feet with an innumerable amount of switchbacks going back and forth.
Yeah. Guy is hungry, man. She be eating.
Oh yeah.
Just follow you up, man. Just don't climb in there, like.
Also, Alicia, yeah, Raya and the Last Dragon that was a fun movie. I feel like it came out and then nobody talked about it. I'm like, Disney was like pushing all these other really bad movies that were coming out at the time, and then Raya and the Last Dragon, which was just fine.
I saw that.
The music was good, the animation was beautiful, and like the characters were not insufferable. It was a fun time. Like, it's no Lion King, but what is? So
it was fresh. It was fresh. I remember watching
real
that.
fresh.
It was fresh.
Oh, Maji says it was boring. Yeah.
I'm a sucker for pet dragons. Ask Paladin Dragoon, and if you've ever
to speak to what Maji's saying, I think it was kind of like the first Harry Potter movie. There's a little bit about the the beautiful, like Matt, like all that. There's a little bit of oohing and awing in that movie.
Look at that when I do this. Isn't that cool? I can do this too. Ooh. yeah.
Ooh, this is magic, yeah.
Ooh.
And Alicia, it definitely could have been part of it. It coming out like right in the middle of like COVID, all that BS.
Yeah. I also Disney has an actual documented historical, not historical, a documented history of tanking some of their own movies.
Yes, some of their
virtue
best
of
movies, actually.
yes, by simple virtue of just not propping it up in the same ways that they do. Now, I'm not saying everybody should get the Toy Story treatment, right? But Moana sure as hell didn't. Moana was not the same as Lilo and Stitch, for example, and Treasure Planet is the most
Treasure
famous
Planet. They didn't
example.
just not set it up; they actively tripped it on the.
They
way
revealed the ending in they revealed the whole plot in the trailer. More so than most movies do. Now
they gave away the
up.
twist.
That's effed up, man. Sorry, that's effed up. And then they didn't do McDonald's toys, which is cool. Not everything gets the Toy Story treatment or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whatever. But like, yeah, there's just many things like that. Like, so yeah, I digress. But so is this fish hook? Is that where Mio gets his two hooks from Maui?
Partially. Also, just for practical reasons, I'm like, how would you hold on to the oil slicked back of a turtle underwater or above water?
I not gonna lie, I think the thought crossed my mind when this was all kind of formulating, but I didn't like grab it and write it down or whatever. So when you said hooks, I jumped at it. I was like, yes, actually, yes, that's perfect. Because like turtle, what? Come on, like a turtle, really? Yeah. Think about it, yeah. And originally, yeah, like he holds them like I have in the art, which I can pull up the art if
yeah. Present it. I'll allow it.
But I'll allow it.
It's in the background of the poster for the upcoming episode. So I wonder if people even notice. But it looks so cool, man. I'm very excited about it.
Right. That's why I had to go out of my way to do an extra post with just a little Mio highlight, where it's just like him on the turtle. And
yeah,
because then people could get like a better look at him and stuff. But
also, this isn't something that would need to go into the story, but talking to my grandpa Sam last time I was there, I wasn't able to recover his poi pounders from the kind of museum where they were being housed, but they're made of rock, so they probably made it. I heard someone was able to grab them for him. I hope he was able to get them back, but yo, animation overload, thanks for stopping by, brother. Sorry you can't stay, just having a party here.
Yes.
Add to the stage. There we go. There's that beautiful cover. You can probably zoom in too. There you go.
So you can see how he's wielding these hooks here. Now, originally, I kind of imagined it like God of War, and I think it's just going to be both. He's holding these, and you can easily just add like chains coming off the back of it and like wrapping around here, and the chains kind of. Or ropes or whatever it is. Maybe ropes are better because seawater. Because
if you're going in the ocean, you definitely want it to be just ropes.
Yeah, ropes are probably better. And then, that gives him a little weak point. If he's like in a tight spot with these ropes, somebody could just cut the ropes and do something crazy like that or whatever. So I like giving characters weak points like that. Ropes instead of chains are better. The ropes could kind of go around these spikes he has on his forearms here. And I imagined him, fighting God of War style, And actually, I think what is going to link him with Zan is when Zan watches him fight, he notices that this dude who looks so brutal and savage, like, look at that guy. Love it. So, like, this dude who looks so brutal, and he's so much bigger and stronger than everybody else. He's destroying the ship. I'm going to have him go out of his way to not kill anybody. So he's going to hit people with the back of these things, and he's going to be knocking people out just like Zan does, because Zan has this thing about killing, like I mentioned earlier. He's struggling with that recently. He in one of the episodes he talks about how bad he felt the first time he skewered a catfish with his spear.
Oh, yeah.
But after a bite or two, he says it took his wolf watching his wolf start to eat it. And to remind him
oh yeah, this is how the world works. It's a circle of life, baby.
Yeah. So yeah, he's inching closer to resolving through that a little bit, kind of getting through that.
He's at
obviously.
least coming to terms with the way he feels about it, and maybe just starting to evolve beyond his initial. Would you call it weakness? In this world, maybe it could be considered a weakness, but it's
to not want to kill.
Yeah, in a world where everything wants to kill you,
I think it's always a weakness, personally.
I think not being unwilling to kill versus not wanting to kill. I think those are different things, also.
Right. Well, hear me out. Here's where I'm getting at, and I don't mean it in like a derogatory, negative way, because like we can all respect characters like Batman and like Superman. You know, like Superman can lobotomize anybody by making eye contact with them. Are you kidding me, bro? Like the first episode of Death Battle, that's how he beats Goku. He just lobotomizes him.
Don't forget his hypnotic kiss that he had in the Golden Age.
He's OP. He can like punch black holes or whatever. It's crazy. But anyway, we can all respect characters like that. But all I'm saying is when you go about a method of fighting that is two to three steps removed from the most straightforward way, which is typically just killing somebody, you go out of your way to like have to fight them a certain way. It takes longer, for one, which just in virtue of taking longer, you give the opponent more chances to have some sort of clever opening. So for example, if you have a Superman that's like if your opponent is Superman, you give him another like 2 or 3 more opportunities to learn something about you before you quote unquote defeat him, instead of just going through the straightforward method, which would be like lobotomizing him before he even knows what's going on. Well, he has like
the efficient way. Yeah.
And
that's a thing too. The Hawaiians had a type of martial art that my brain can't remember the name of, and it wasn't focused on like grappling. There was elements of grappling, but it was kind of like taking half of. It was like the precision of grappling, but with the commitment to striking that most other martial arts have. And it was the idea behind it was basically break everything that you come in contact with. And it was brutal, dude.
My favorite fighting style, I think. There's a reason I got so excited for this episode and why it was so fun working with you on it, because like, yeah, dude, didn't Hawaii defeat the British Empire? Like by breaking every bone in their fucking bodies until they like left. They gave up and left.
King Kamehameha stole a bunch of rifles or muskets from the British, and then he conquered all of Hawaii with them.
But that was kind of like that was in the process of them. Yeah, like he broke all their freaking bones until they gave up, quit, and went home, and then took their guns and then turned around and conquered Hawaii. Right? Like it was the same event.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I just wanted to double check. But
King Kamehameha is basically Simba. Let me qualify that. He was under threat as an infant because he was by blood a contender for the crown of Hawaii, in essence. And so his uncle ordered him killed when he was just an infant. And so the story goes that he wasn't killed and that he was taken away and raised amongst the Koa warriors. Now if you type in, like, say, Google Translate Koa, that will say, it translates to warrior. And it does, but they were called that because most of their weapons were made of Koa wood. Koa wood is one of the most expensive, rare woods in the entire world. I have the necklace you guys see me wear on occasion is made of ivory and koa wood, and that's something that I like. I'm not wearing it right now, unfortunately. But
and what is special about koa wood is like particularly found.
It's more of a bush. It's not really a tree, but it takes so long to grow that the grain is very tight. It's very hard wood. It's has a very beautiful pattern, and so it's desirable for that reason. And it's illegal to grow it and harvest it. So the only time people are able to get their hands on koa wood is when a tree dies. They send in someone who's authorized to grab it. They grab it, and then that becomes something that can be sold by someone. And that's why it's so expensive, because it's not produced and it's not common.
Yeah, you can only get it organically, basically. So
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fascinating.
And yeah, so the reason they like Koa is translated as warrior in Hawaiian, from Hawaiian to English, is because that's what they are called. They were called Koa warriors not because they decided it was a cool name. They said they did it because we are weapons. They were a warrior class. That was what they did for a living. Like when the islands would go to war, they would grab, just kind of, hey fisherman, hey taro planter, let's go over there and f those guys up. You mean our neighbors? Yeah, those effers. Yeah, we're gonna mess them up.
Yep. I loved when
yeah.
my favorite tribal. Sorry, before just
Go ahead.
I'll let you continue. Aztecs, the Aztecs, Aztec and Mayan cultures.
With the Jaguar warriors.
Yes, I loved. They did the same thing, but continue. Just like we're gonna go f up our neighbors and assimilate them, kind of thing. Like very warrior tribe, like very much like understood what happens when another person gets conquered and stuff like that. It became like a ritual. You know what I mean? That's why you have all the people getting their hearts ripped out and the blood sports and stuff like that. And yeah.
Well, they named him after after something that was intimidating in nature. In that case, and that was the jaguar. And yeah, in Hawaii they named him Koa because that was the weapon, and because these guys, this is all that they do. They kill and they train to kill, and that's it.
In Norway, we call them berserkers. Yeah.
Yeah. We give them magic mushrooms and slap them and send them on their way. They kill many British.
It's a little more than that too. I saw a good meme. I saw a great meme. It's like what the world thinks berserkers are, what real Vikings thought berserkers were. You know what I mean? And so the first image is just like a badass Viking or whatever, and the second image is like, well, the first one's like a Chad Viking. It's like the Chad face, right? And
the chin, yeah.
Yeah, like a Chad Viking. And then the second one is like a Chad with his family looking at the creepy looking Viking who's like naked, covered in blood and like animal skin.
That's
and he's and the Viking with the family is like, stay away from me, outcast. Stay away from my family, outcast. Because that's like what it was. Like they're just good at killing. And how crazy do you have to be to become a demon? Essentially on the battlefield. There's a story.
Pretty crazy, yeah.
There's a story of a Viking who held, I think it was London Bridge, or what bridge was it?
I heard about that.
Yeah. He held it single-handedly, but yeah. They had to go with boats underneath of him and like kill him, not fairly.
Light him up, yeah.
Yeah.
There's another one where they attacked and conquered a small island off of the coast of England.
Mm-hmm.
With like just 30 men, and it was 30 berserkers versus a substantial force, so to say, and like all but 2 of them died, but they got the job done. That's what I'm saying.
And my overall point is, I'm sure a Jaguar warrior with the spirit of his ancestors and a Koa warrior with the spirit of if I'm pronouncing this right, what are the demons? The fighting spirits? It is Akuna. Yes.
Yeah.
So good. Okay. Imbued with the spirit of Akuna, the Bushido the samurai imbued with the spirit of Bushido. You know, the list goes on. You got all these warriors. You put all of them on that bridge. I'm sure they all have just the right amount of grit to pull that same shit off. I mean, I don't know who gets the award for most crazy, but I'm sure there's just something about peak warrior. You know what I mean?
It's something that appeals to the masculine and is very useful in storytelling as well.
So useful. Just
we love to see it. We love to see it.
I mean, I may or may not do this in Spirit Animals just because it's so fun to just do whatever I want. With Spirit Animals, dude, that's the funnest part. Is
I know you like with your main series. It's like, yeah, I have kind of these basic rules and tenets and things that I kind of follow.
Yeah.
There's room to experiment. But with Spirit Animal, you're like, that sounds cool.
I'm gonna do that.
Pour it in there.
Yeah, just pour it in there. Oh, that tastes good. Pour some more
Oh,
in
yeah.
there. Like, let it simmer some more. Like, let's go. Yeah, it's great, man. Like, so working on this episode with you actually changed a lot of the world,
Some of the lore a little bit. Yeah,
like the mechanics of the magic and stuff.
yeah.
So,
You told me about that. It was a cool idea.
because and then like when that started happening, I looked deeper into like Hawaiian mythology and I found this whole bit on Hawaiian sorcery and like what they believe.
Yeah.
Like what they believed with the spirits and stuff, how spirits could possess objects, and they believed that object was then their powerful ancestor or whatever. And that's just so fascinating to me, dude. I love it. It's such a rich, vibrant, like the best inspiration is real life stuff because you're just learning.
Yeah.
Because then you're just learning, and then you have fun just writing about really cool shit, brother.
Yeah.
Really cool. Like a Jaguar warrior, dude. Are you kidding me?
Sick.
That's a sweet. That's a sweet like bodyguard or something, like, or even a protagonist, like the protagonist. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Conan, like Jaguar warrior Conan. Let's go with his freaking.
I'm sure some AI program out there's already made it.
Yeah, that's why we got to get on this Iron Age. Indies, if you're listening right now, start writing. Keep that shit
Right, cool
up,
stuff.
because we are in an age where it's the last breath of like humanity will be a commodity. Like it'll be a rarity. It'll be a vintage hobby, right? Like there will be very few humans at one point in the future, and they're going to look back at somewhere around this time period when AI is on the upswing, and they're going to be like, that was it right there. These last bits here are like during this transition period, right? That's why we talk about the Iron Age, because it is an age. It's more than that. It's like the age of independence. Yeah. And it's because we're getting all these tools
where individuals have the power that previously large groups and like kind of corporations and companies had pretty much exclusive access to for many, many years.
I have a theory.
Hundreds of years.
I have a theory that when Musk went on Rogan and was talking all paranoid about AI, it was because he knew that all these major companies were already developing and using actively their own AIs.
I think
for like several years,
stuff in scripts and stuff in Hollywood.
Many times.
They've already proven that they were using it for some like sequences in some movies for certain things, like animated, like kind of like with the slightly moving background stuff. It's like,
yes,
we kind of proved that was AI in a couple of cases already.
Isn't a filter on Photoshop AI? When I tell the computer to do this complicated algorithm over top of my image to make it look like an oil painting, my photograph, I turn my family into an oil painting. Isn't that a complicated, some sort of AI algorithm that's going on right there? All I do is set the parameters and hit go, right? But I'm not like going over that and physically turning it into a sketch or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There has been a very slow release of AI. That's the fact.
Yeah.
Your camera just focusing, right? Just focusing.
They had to do that chemically back in the day before digital. Back when that's how they would achieve certain effects on photos.
Stuff.
But yeah, like my line in the sand with AI in regards to how I use it.
My phone has two cameras that like all these things. Look at that. All these things like interact with each other in a complicated way.
No. That moment when you're at the NSA and you're looking at your buddy just down the row of computers. Oh, shit, we're looking at spying on each other.
Right. Whoops.
Oops.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So yeah. My whole
Go ahead.
My whole point though is like we're in this time period where eventually we're gonna reach a threshold where, like right now, it's only when everybody freshly has the tools and we act on it and gain that momentum is when real change happens, because there reaches a point where it balances out a little bit too much, and like nobody stands
necessary.
Right, it stands out a little bit too much, and then there's almost no point. Like nothing stands out is what I'm saying, and then there's almost no point because everything has simmered down so much. So like, here's an example. Right now we're seeing like the birth of AI. Everybody who is not afraid to like use ChatGPT, for example, as like a tool to help them like research or stay organized, like non-controversial things that just make sense as a tool, like help me stay organized, help me like formulate this into an outline, kind of like an assistant, you know what I mean, like a legit assistant. This is just one example too. That person has such a far stronger edge at their disposal than somebody who is stubbornly refusing to do it. And also the fact that they're doing it right now before that shit is just built into everything, because that's the thing. That's what I'm getting at. There's a threshold.
Eventually it's just built in. Yeah. It's
just built in, and it is what it is. And not only is it just built in, because of that, it is so finely controlled. So controlled. And we're already seeing every single company come out with their own AI. Look at every social media having like their own, like, oh, talk to my AI, you know, whatever it is.
Oh yeah, I hate that prompt.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But yeah, so that's my whole point, is like there's this little period that we're in right now where it's just going to get
at some point it's going to be more integrated. Like even look at Terminator, they even talk about that. It's like, yeah, no, and this is the exact date when they surrendered all active human control of the US defense network over to this AI. I'm like,
the AI president. Yeah. People are talking about that already. It's going to start as an AI business CEO.
I'm not down for it, man. When we get to that stuff, man, it's just like it's too much, man. But
it's programmed to be truly impartial.
Written by someone who's not impartial. That's my secret cap. I work for the government. On that note, hey, for anyone, we've talked about it a couple times during the stream. Let's watch a sample of a haka from the New Zealand team, because they do the best ones. Let me present, just because like I like to watch it. It's fun. Let's go back.
So yeah, the idea would be Mio would be doing that on the back of his turtle as he approaches,
and that's going to be his character introduction.
Yeah.
Majitan says love rugby. I do too. Rugby is a great sport. It's a lot less boring than football. Always reminds me of the scene from Zulu Dawn. Yeah, Readout mentioned that earlier too. Yeah, the Zulu have their own war dance and such as well. And so when I learned how to do a haka a long time ago when I was in football, American football, for any heathens out there.
Yeah.
And it was a Hawaiian friend of mine who just happened to go to the same school, so he taught us how to do it, taught us a basic dance and some of the words as well. And yeah, you're not slapping yourself, you are hitting yourself hard enough to bruise yourself, at least in the beginning, and that's kind of part of it as well. But yeah, you gotta bulge out your eyes, you gotta really like full like it. I have a whole video about how to do a proper woo that I'm gonna release at some point. And it's the same thing, man. All power from your core. That's why you get down, you get in your stance, you really get into it, you bulge your eyes.
Yeah, dude. Good. Oh, I'm so excited.
It's gonna be so much fun, dude.
Once I'm all finished with this current round of work I'm currently working on, I'm gonna just dive right into that, because I've been staring at this outline, man, and every time I stare at it, I think of more stuff, and I'm just like,
yeah.
It just, I'm already considering like a spin-off novella or something following this band of outlaw bards, just a more adult version of spirit animals. Like, oh man, because I can't help but just think of like, because like I'm more of an adult author, right?
Yeah.
Or like, rather than adult, I would say mature, right? Like
I would say, yeah, adult makes it sound
risque.
X. Yeah. What are you doing, Step Orc?
I can describe violence. That's all, and I can time it at good opportunities where it's not. Anyway, That's all.
Spoilers. There's violence in Mortal Descent. Spoilers.
But not.
Sorry.
But like, there's a reason I want Zan to be struggling with the idea of killing, because it's like it's supposed to be all ages, you know what I mean? So I show him after the battle when it's like skeletons, and I can be a little morbid and stuff, and it's scary, you know, maybe for a little younger audience, but it's not like detrimental to their health.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I I'll let my kids watch shows and movies with violence, but it's not brutal, realistic violence. It's heroic or cartoonish violence. It represents the same thing, but it's not the same thing practically. And I think for Zan, seeing someone like Mewtwo who is so physically imposing and brutal in his approach and in his fashion,
but so gentle.
Yeah, that's the key. You need to be the warrior when it's time to be a warrior, but you need to be able to garden too. And that's part of why I said he should give Zan a fishhook, because if he represents charity, what's more charitable than gathering food or teaching a man to fish, or providing a meal or providing a means to gather a meal for your family. What other thing is more charitable than providing that to somebody? And then my grandpa, he told me, there's this very famous picture of him in National Geographic back in the day when he was on the Hokulea, the ship that navigates using no modern electronic equipment, even to this day. And there's a famous picture of him holding up a fish in his classic Hawaiian kind of dress, and holding up a fish he caught with an ivory fishhook that he carved himself. And when I was a kid, I thought that was really neat, because I'm like, oh, wow, I can't believe he did this. That's really unique. Then he reveals, he's like, no, back in the day, you have your fish hook, and the first fish you hook, whatever fish that is, gets added to the end of the name of your fish hook. So you have your traditional fish hook, and what kind of fish hook it is dependent on the first fish that it hooks. Ooh. And so it changes the name of what it is.
That's sick. I found the symbolism behind it, or at least the first rough Google result for the symbolism. It says the fish hook. I threw it in the chat. It says the fish hook symbolizes the connection between humans and the ocean, and the harmony of the natural world, and the need to respect the power of the ocean. And like, Mewtwo is such a powerful character, and kind of represents one aspect of the ocean, at least. I can't say he represents the ocean, because there's entire cultures of ocean people.
The strongest man is far weaker than even a normal sized wave. I've seen it. I've been Honokohau Valley, where Honokohau Valley. It's where my grandma lives. It's where a lot of the old criminals used to live too, on Maui anyway. But my dad and I went out there in must have been January or December, and we were surfing out there. I didn't have the other surfboard was broken, so my dad had one and I had the boogie board. I went up on top of this wave. I'm like, oh, I'm on the top. Oh no, it's flipping me over, and underwater I went. Wow. I was underwater long,
right?
Oh yeah. I got tumbled. I traveled something like 200 yards underwater without being able to come to the surface.
Wow.
With just because of that wave. I came up and I was only about 25 yards, maybe 20 yards from shore. And I came back. I was underwater long enough to think to myself, I've been here for a long time. This is not good.
I've been underwater for a long time. Yeah, when you have that thought, that's not good.
Like, well, it's like I was just doing this underwater.
Yeah,
pretty much the whole way. And at some point, I'm like, I could not get up if I wanted to right at this moment, which is a very sobering thought.
You should message me some details with that, like how that felt and stuff.
Okay, yeah.
Like, yeah, I've almost drowned myself a couple times in my life, so I can kind of get a lot of details, but like, yeah, some extra things from another perspective would be nice to have, at least, especially for this particular episode, because there is going to be a point where Zan is, he falls unconscious underwater.
It's a bad place to be.
Yeah. I think it's during a storm too. And wakes up aboard the Locust, which is a Polynesian style canoe vessel. I looked up.
Hey, brother, you got that canoe?
The double canoe.
Yeah.
Takes about like 10 to 20 people to pilot it. So I went with 9, which became 6 for other reasons because of like who some of the characters are based off of. So like, yeah, there's about six people who pilot this Polynesian style canoe, and it can be smaller. It's as big as it needs to be or whatever. I'm not like some authors where I just
You're not exacting.
I'm not like it was 32 feet long and 12 feet wide. No, I'm not gonna.
Had a 6,000 pound keel that went 8.5 feet underwater.
I will describe just enough for you to kind of get kind of an idea and make your own deduction, which might not be good for posthumous adaptations should they ever arise. Like, listen, AC interpreted it like this: like he clearly hated this group of people, and he didn't want this in here, and he wanted the mast to be this size. Like right here, he describes it in this way, which
big
at that time
white
period,
mast right in the center.
big white mast just to erect our satisfaction.
Have two two barrels right at the bottom,
and we'll just fire their loads at each other.
as you do with other seamen. Anyway, language, people, it's important. Use of language, very important.
None of this happens in spirit animals, by the way.
No. People are like, I don't know if I'm allowed to read this story. Or it's like all that old pirate fiction, like erotic fiction.
Oh God, yeah.
Dude! I started reading one just for giggle. It was so funny, but I had to stop. I couldn't read it.
Yeah, it was just couldn't even
killing me, man.
Couldn't even emerge. Did it even have a good story?
I didn't get far enough to be able to tell. There are too many hair billowing in the wind and very long swords being it was something, man. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Holy smokes, man.
Well, the wife just gave me the signal, so that's like I mean, it doesn't have to be like immediate if you want to.
Oh no, it's about time. So yeah, actually send me the link for your your Substack page, so I can share it here with everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, send it here in the private chat or something.
All right.
So, in the meantime, I'll distract everybody with a story. So, on the south side of Hawaii, or the wet side of Maui, there is a place called Hana, and there's the famous road to Hana and the 7 sacred pools. Firstly, they're not sacred. Nothing about them is sacred. Secondly, there's not 7 of them. There was a marketing campaign by a hotel on the south side from years ago. Oh, hey Xander, hey little buddy.
He said, "Hey Xander."
Hi, buddy. Hi. Oh, he's so cute. I remember all those little towels. Hey, Katie. Oh, cute. Oh, little guy.
He can't move his arms.
She said he's trying to wave, but he can't move his arms.
He's trapped.
Yeah, he smiled all big when he saw you. That's funny. Anyway, continue.
And Animated Moon said, "I've almost been there. It was if there's too much rain, you're not allowed to go there. If you want to stop at the state park, then if there's too much rain, it's too dangerous. They won't let people go. It's something like a 4 to 7 mile hike from the parking lot all the way up to the waterfall at the very top. But if you go down instead of going up, there's a waterfall and a pool area that the river travels along through the lava rock kind of formations that are there. And you're able to jump off at different heights at like 25 up to 25 feet. It's a fantastic time. I forgot where I was going. Oh yeah. No, the famous 7 sacred pools. There are not 7 of them, and they're not sacred. It's a great name, but it's fake. It was a marketing strategy by a hotel on the south side of the island in the 1950s, or maybe 40s. I can't remember.
Cultural appropriating bastards.
Oh yeah, And everyone's like, I survived the road to Hana. If you go there now, you won't understand why that used to be significant. Everyone's like, oh yeah, it's paved and it's a little one way, it's a little dangerous, but whatever. No. There was half a day's drive with no concrete when I was young. At one point the county of Maui was like, hey, we're gonna pave it. Everyone's like, great. They did. About 200 yards of it.
Oh, but nice.
For years.
We kept our promise. Good luck.
Yeah. And now the real dangerous side is the north side. The side that people are like, the road to Hana is not hard anymore. It's not unsafe. Any car, scooter, or bicycle can do it now. And I'm like, oh, that's convenience. But now you have these giant tour buses. It's not a risk. I don't know. Part of the adventure is a little bit gone. So
the bumpy ride was part of the experience.
It was. My dad's one of my dad's friends was in the back of the pickup truck with his two sons and I. So all four of us were back there for 3 or 4 hours at a time. And we're driving along. It's been like this for an hour. And then we hit that new road that they told us about. I knew that it was going to end in about 200 yards, but they didn't. So we're get there. He's like, oh, smooth. Thank God. I don't think I could have done that much longer. I'm just like, funny you should say that.
Shaken, not stirred. Yeah, Xander says. Yeah. He's gonna.
I really enjoy it. Yeah, Moon. Maui is a beautiful place. It's one of my favorite places. My one of my favorite exact spots on any part of the planet is one of the chairs on my grandma's porch, under the cover of the roof of the house, looking out at the bay past the banyan tree.
Wow,
it's a very special spot.
Yeah,
wrote a lot of story and poetry there, and spent a lot of time when I was a young child. It's a very special place.
How could you not just sit there and write? Seriously,
it's
like who never wrote in their life would see that and just like, holy crap, they just start writing poetry. Yeah, you
can hear the myna birds going after the dragon fruit growing from the cactus on the hill right next to you. You're in shade. You have a small breeze that comes in at 1 o'clock every single day. You can hear the ocean just on a normal day. It's on a stormy day. You'll hear the rain coming down and the thunder, and it'll be so the rain itself, not the clouds. The rain will be so thick that you cannot see Molokai or Lanai from the porch, which you normally can see.
Yeah,
and it'll come in, and you'll hear those waves crashing, and you'll know that this is a storm because these aren't the waves that can destroy a house, which they can. These are the waves that will roll a car or a boulder 5 or 6 feet across the road. How do I know that? Because I saw it happen when I was a child.
Yeah. Dude. Little details like that, man. It's going to be awesome.
I don't know what happened. I just got transported back, man. Again, dude, my favorite place.
Good conversation is good conversation any way you slice it, you know what I mean? And that spot sounds awesome. I just imagine, like I said, somebody, like spots like that will make somebody who's never written a word in their life just sit down and become like, I feel.
I am a writer.
I am. I just am. Yeah. Therefore, I am. But anyway,
that eat, pray, love thing doesn't sound. That eat, pray, love thing doesn't sound so stupid right at this moment.
So I'm excited. I'll give him a fish hook. He gets the fish hook. He gets the new Cyclops mentor, who is misunderstood at first. I'm excited to get on that because, like I said, that outline. I just sent you the beginning of it, so that
I know it sounds cool, dude.
You can kind of see the level of depth. I can't help but consider certain aspects of like good storytelling. Like it has to make sense. That carries over. Like maybe it's a weak point after a certain extent. Like maybe there's certain things that I just can't outline because it's so time consuming or something. But
you don't want to constrict it too much. It needs to have a little bit of room for embellishment.
Yeah, like I think I was saying, one thing I'll leave everybody with, my fellow writers and just anybody interested in storytelling, which comes in handy if you want to spot crap and avoid it, right? I'm looking at you, Halo TV show. Misuse of hanging a lantern. Not writing what you don't have to write. This is what I'll leave you with. Not writing what you don't have to write. My last episode leaves off in one place. Zan can smell the ocean. That's about how close that they are. That's, they can't see it or anything. He's nowhere near it. The next one starts with them boarding a ship to cross the ocean. So I just very much skip all the way to that point where I need to, and it's going to start with him haggling and stuff. And that's just like a good example of like cutting out the middleman, so to speak. Like, what are you going to, unless you have some sort of important conversation that you need them to have, like, why write the travel? Unless there's some important detail that you want to exposit to the audience about your world, why write the like travel, right? So what I did is I went largely, what I'm going to do is largely go to the interesting point, and then there's a trick you can do. And George Martin himself struggled with this with his famous 2-year gap between a couple of his books. It turned into 2 books instead of 2 years in the story. So it's where you go back and retroactively talk about what happened after the time jump, right? And I picked a point in time in this story where I can start at the interesting shit, where they're already boarding the ship and going to the ocean themed episode, the nautical adventure. I'm like already like, let's go. Like I can just start with the adventure. And all I have to do, the only thing I need to touch on before from the point of the last episode to the point of this one is how Zan felt entering this village, because he grew up in a forest. You know what I mean? Like I mentioned him entering like a battlefield and then a military encampment and seeing like the fighting pit. So this would be like my opportunity to describe how he feels about like a village, right? So I can use that trick where I just go back and retroactively talk about how he felt walking in, like, oh, it was like this when I came into the village. I felt this way when I first saw that. And I still haven't gotten over this smell or whatever other detail. And it's not much that I have to cover. So it works. But like in George Martin's case, where he had 2 years and like more than just multiple dozens of characters to like cover over the course of 2 years, it wasn't feasible on his end. Yeah. He would have to really just leave out either a lot of details and just brush over it.
Which was a possibility, George. You
could have did that. Just saying.
Could have done did it.
Not writing what you don't need to. Just saying. But I don't know. 2 more books is 2 more books worth of money, and a little bit more details that you can get into. I don't know. I think he was having fun. I think he was.
You know what's sad about the end of these kind of conversations?
What's that?
Right at the end, I remember a whole bunch of other stuff I didn't talk about.
That happens to me every single time, brother.
Oh,
that's why I'm leaving everybody with this little writing thing, like not writing what you have. I just thought of it. So it's like, like not write. Don't write what you don't have to. You can skip to that point, even if it's months later, for you full-length novel writers with your protagonist that's coming of age or whatever. You can skip to the point where he has peach fuzz, Now he has peach fuzz, the protagonist that's coming of age.
The beard on his dong can grow a beard on its dong.
And as long as you cover some of the important things, like, I learned this, this other thing happened, and that other thing happened over that year of school.
I got married, got divorced, got addicted, got over it, and here I am.
Well, you know what I'm saying? Like, as long as it's not too crazy and not in itself a very strong aspect of the story. That's the thing. If it's not like a strong aspect of the story, why do you need it? Because I could have fun
writing every step of the
detail of the journey. Yeah. Finding food every day. Let's go. I played D&D. I'm a DM, so I could think of that shit.
But, ladies and gentlemen, for the sake of Andy's poor wife and their very adorable, loud, squealing child, we're going to have to call it a night right here. Guys, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. Moon and Fuzzy Vandalay. I don't know who you are, but apparently shout out to AC. Fuzzy Vandalay.
Yeah.
That's a fun name.
Thank you,
Don't know who you
Vandal.
are, but
Welcome to the channel.
You rock.
you
Thanks for
rock.
having me on. Thanks for having
Of
me
course,
on, brother. It's always a pleasure. All those things that you thought of talking about, feel free to message me.
Will do. Will do.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Continue talking. It's all good. So,
All right, guys. God bless you. And everybody, have a happy new... Woo!